And we're back with another segment of JusParlay's NBA Plays, where you're going to get my NBA plays for that particular day. And today is November 15th. Happy November 15th, everyone. We're going to get my plays for today. And you know, I usually break down my plays into three different categories: my definites, my shoulds, and my coulds. Kind of self-explanatory. My definites are the things I'm most confident in. My shoulds are things that I think should happen, but I'm not supremely confident in. And my coulds are bets that, you know, are more on the risky side. I think could happen, but I can also see it going another way. So let's start off with my definites for today. My big definite for today is the Phoenix Suns beating the Minnesota Timberwolves. I just have confidence that the Phoenix Suns will continue. I believe they're on an 8-game winning streak right now. Continue, push that winning streak to 9, beat the struggling Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they haven't looked very good as of their last 6 or 7 games. I expect that trend to continue. Outside of this is barring an Anthony Edwards 40-point game. I feel like the only way that the Minnesota Timberwolves beat the Phoenix Suns tonight is if Anthony Edwards goes out and has a 40-point night, and or DeAndre Ayton just sabotages the team. DeAndre Ayton decides to suit up tonight, and he sabotages the team. Other than that, I think the Phoenix Suns take care of the Minnesota Timberwolves fairly easily. My second definite of the night will be the Washington Wizards destroying the New Orleans Pelicans. I don't think New Orleans Pelicans stand much of a chance against most teams in the NBA. The Washington Wizards are the top team in the Eastern Conference right now. Obviously, that probably will change as the season progresses. But as of right now, I don't see one of the bottom teams in the Western Conference contending with one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference as of right now. The Pelicans, they're just looking like a horrible team right now. The only thing that they got going for them that's working really well is Jonas Valanciunas is cooking on a nightly basis. But outside of him cooking in the paint, the team sucks. Brandon Ingram is back. That's one positive note, but I still don't think that they have enough to be able to contend this game with the Washington Wizards. So I have my two definites so far: the Phoenix Suns beating the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Washington Wizards beating the Phoenix Suns. Those are my definites for tonight. My shoulds, the first should I want to start off with, I believe that the Toronto Raptors should upset the Portland Trailblazers tonight. It's not a definite only because the Toronto Raptors haven't been a reliable team as of late. However, neither have the Portland Trailblazers been. And the Portland Trailblazers will likely be without Damian Lillard today. He is questionable going into tonight, with an abdominal injury. But if the Portland Trailblazers don't have Damian Lillard, I don't see much of anything that they can do to most teams in the NBA, especially with the fact that they don't play lick of defense. They play zero defense. I don't know how that would translate to a Toronto Raptors team that actually prides itself on the defensive end. And if you're giving up easy baskets to the defensive team, I don't know much of anything that you can do. Fred VanVleet is questionable leading up into this game with a groin injury. I believe he does play. I feel like the Toronto Raptors sat him out last game because they were playing the Detroit Pistons, even though they did lose that game. But it was the Detroit Pistons. It was one of those, throwaway kind of games, even though they ended up throwing it away. So I think the Toronto Raptors should upset the Portland Trailblazers, and you get them at a nice price this game. Next, I have the Boston Celtics coming back, and on this back-to-back 2 games versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, they win the second half. The Cleveland Cavaliers beat them last time out. Last time these two teams played, when was that? That was on Saturday. Cleveland Cavaliers beat them. I believe they return the favor tonight. Cleveland Cavaliers barely beat them, actually ended up coming back. The Boston Celtics should have won that game, despite dealing with, some injuries and some absences. The Boston Celtics are the better team, are the more talented team. The Cavaliers have been doing well so far this season, even though these two teams have been trending in opposite directions that you probably wouldn't have expected, even though it is early in the season. The Boston Celtics trending poorly, and the Cleveland Cavaliers mostly trending in the right direction. Their last loss, in the last, I think, about 7 games, the Cleveland Cavaliers have looked great. The only loss came barely against the Washington Wizards, and the Washington Wizards are the top team in the Eastern Conference right now, so you can't even blame them for that. But I think the Boston Celtics will overpower them this particular game with talent, and my biggest selling point for it is the fact that it is extremely difficult no matter what two teams are playing, to beat two teams on back-to-back games. So usually if one team wins one game, I usually go with the other team winning the other. Don't get me wrong, it does happen where a team wins both games, but that happens less often than, well, from my experience, less often than the two teams splitting the two games. So the Boston Celtics, my last should of tonight, will be the Indiana Pacers upsetting the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden. My main selling point is the New York Knicks just haven't been all that good at the Garden, and they lost 3 games straight at the Garden. The Indiana Pacers did beat them earlier this season, and I just got them going up 2-0 against the New York Knicks in this season series so far. Both teams haven't looked the greatest, but the Indiana Pacers, I would say, they've been playing a little bit more consistently than the New York Knicks, even though they haven't been necessarily winning games as well. They just looking better than the Knicks right now. They like I said, both teams haven't been looking the greatest, but they are looking better, I'd say, especially offensively than the New York Knicks, and both teams haven't been looking all that great defensively. I think Sabonis big night. If you want to boost it, add a Sabonis double-double to the Pacers winning. So those are my definites and my shoulds. Now let's get to the coulds. So like I said, definites, I have the Phoenix Suns beating the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Washington Wizards beating the New Orleans Pelicans. My shoulds, I have the Toronto Raptors beating the Portland Trailblazers, the Boston Celtics beating the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Indiana Pacers beating the New York Knicks. Now my coulds, these are my risky bets of tonight, and I will go with first the Houston Rockets upsetting the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't know how the Grizzlies are favored as a minus 720 this game. They mess around, might blow the Houston Rockets out. I'm just really going on a limb with this game because the Memphis Grizzlies aren't really that good of a team to be favored minus 720 against anybody. To be favored double-digit points against any team in the league. Don't get me wrong, they could mess around win by 20 because you know things happen. Anything is possible, but I'm definitely taking this game mainly because of the price right there. Like plus 500, that's too much to turn down, especially for two teams that aren't far off from each other. We do get the Houston Rockets are on a big losing streak right now. I believe it's at 10 right now, 10 or 11. I believe it's at 10 right now. The Houston Rockets, they suck or whatever, but they're not much worse of a team than the Memphis Grizzlies. Even though the Memphis Grizzlies do have Ja Morant, but outside of Ja Morant, the Grizzlies just got like a decent team. It's kind of a middle of the pack team. So I'm definitely gonna take that more on the fact that this is too good of a price for teams that's not that far off from each other. Now my second could of the night will be the Detroit Pistons upsetting the Sacramento Kings, and kind of for the same reason. Sacramento Kings aren't much better of a team than the Detroit Pistons, and you're getting them at a nice underdog. I don't know why the Sacramento Kings are favored at almost a minus 200. They suck themselves. Detroit Pistons haven't won back-to-back games this season, but this definitely is a potential opportunity for them to do so. They're not playing a good team, and the Kings love fumbling bags. They love fumbling games that they should win, and games against good teams that they could win. The Kings just suck. So I'm not putting money on the Kings. I definitely am more so betting against them. And my last cut of the night is going to be another underdog, the Denver Nuggets upsetting the Dallas Mavericks. Now, the Denver Nuggets probably will be without Will Barton, one of their best players right now. They are without Michael Porter Jr., as they have been for a while. They're shorthanded, but that is nothing new to the Joker, the MVP from last year. He's always playing with a shorthanded team. He just had back-to-back triple-doubles since arriving from his suspension. I think he's on a tear. The Denver Nuggets are on a winning streak. The Mavericks have looked good as well. This should be a great matchup. I always love the Luka and Jokic matchups because typically outside of their last meeting where the Mavs got blown out earlier this season, they're typically very exciting. Might come down to a few possessions of a game. I'm siding with the Dallas Mavericks, and not just because they're underdogs, more so belief in that they will continue their winning ways. They got a lot of momentum going for them, and that's the MVP right there. I think he'll put on the show. Luka Doncic is always an MVP favorite to open the season, but He usually starts the season off slow. I think Nikola Jokic has the advantage here. Dallas Mavericks lose to the Denver Nuggets. And that's my picks, my plays for November 15th. JusParlay's NBA plays.